I've closed $1 billion worth of deals, and these 5 things make deals happen. And I don't say this from the perspective of look how smart I am, but in reality, over hundreds of iterations of deals, what are the things that actually make deals get to the finish line and close? That's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Arthur Petropoulos, managing partner here at Hillview Partners. We're a middle market, lower middle market M&A and capital advisory firm, helping companies generating $1 million to $10 million in pre-tax earnings, or EBITDA, sell their companies, or secure capital. So, in selling businesses, in the amount of deals that we've done and continue to do, what 5 things make deals happen? Number 1, clearly defined people, process, and product. And so if you break every business down into people, who do you have working for you? Process, what do they do? And how do the different functions of the business provide the desired result? And product, whether that's a product, service, offering, software, whatever it is, the thing that you sell, what pain does it solve for people? If those can be clearly defined, we break down process even further into sales, execution of fulfillment, and operations. If you can define all these things clearly, that makes deals happen. Number 2, clean financials. And that doesn't mean they have to be audited or reviewed to the typical CPA standard. They can simply be QuickBooks, but clean in the sense that if you're going to make an adjusted EBITDA, which we do in all of our deals, or normalized EBITDA to say this is the true cash flow generating power of the business, there needs to be a clear bridge from the financials that will line up with the bank accounts to the actual adjusted EBITDA. And so there's multiple mechanisms of communicating this, but think of it at its highest level of providing an EBITDA bridge, saying, here are the numbers on the financials, here are the adjustments and the rationale for the respective adjustments, here's the normalized EBITDA. This creates something that all parties can look at, they can negotiate the different elements of it and say, we agree with this, we don't think this is recurring, blah, 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 whatever the case may be, but having clean financials such that that conversation can take place. Number 3, clear objectives. Now, oftentimes people call us up and say, I may want to sell the business, I may want to take capital, I may want to do this, I may want to do that. And we always like to say, let's set the objective and work our way back from there. Do you want to keep working in the company? If so, for how long? If so, in what capacity? Now, depending on the answers to these things, sometimes a full sale makes sense. Sometimes purely taking on capital and retaining ownership can make sense. Sometimes it's something in between. Sell 49%, sell 70%, sell 80%, whatever it may be. But when the objectives are clear, then those objectives can clearly be communicated to the counterparties, and it instills faith in the acquirers that this is a real seller, that this is someone who wants to actually do a deal, and therefore it encourages them to allocate resources, attention, time, capital to pursuing the opportunity. And so defining the objectives, working back to structure the path from our client perspective, but then also being able to communicate that clearly to those parties that would be interested in being on the other side of the table is what ultimately generates good momentum and gets deals to the finish line. And speaking of getting deals to the finish line, number 4 is a clear process. And so if you get out there and we say, okay, these are the objectives, this is what the company does, these are the company's financials, we always want to say this is the process that's going to get from company being for sale to company being sold. We want to get the information out, we want follow-up questions, we want meetings, we want further follow-up questions, we want Zoom meetings with ownership, we want indications of interest, we want another conversation, letters of intent, sign, diligence, closing, right? We want to push this thing on a conveyor belt in very lockstep, orderly fashion. And what that does is it puts all of the interested parties on equal footing, and therefore they are competing with each other, but gives clarity to all parties, our clients included, as to what the timeline is, what the different hurdles or milestones are, and when the deal will actually be closed. If you tell people when decisions will be made, as we do to the interested parties in these deals, you're going to quickly be able to keep separating the wheat from the chaff and understanding who's going to be a real buyer and who's not. And lastly, I can't emphasize this enough, and we've beat this dead horse as many times as possible in every video that we can, is responsiveness. If you have all of these other things in a deal, but you are not responsive, things will die on the vine. Time kills all deals, lulls, deal fatigue, they're all real things. And so, when you get emails, when you get phone calls, when you get carrier pigeons dropping off scrolls, answer them. Get back to people right away. Get people answers. Even if the answer is we need a little more time to get you the answer, that is an answer in itself, and that provides guidance, and that helps. And so if you do that, that is the oil that greases the skids for the entirety of the process, is responsiveness. Keeping all things in order, keeping all things organized, keeping everybody on track, everybody on the same page. That's what ultimately creates the cohesion and the critical mass and momentum that gets a deal to the finish line. So, in our $1 billion worth of deals, what 5 things make deals actually happen? Let's rerun them one more time. Clearly defined people, process, and products. Clear financials. Clear objectives. Clear process. Responsiveness. If all 5 of these things are there, the probability of a deal getting to the finish line are far greater than kind of the meat of the bell curve, and that's where you want to be. So that's the thought for today. Hope the week's getting off to a good start for everyone. Keep pushing forward. God bless. See everyone next time.